Long before I ever built Noet, I noticed something curious about human beings. We don't simply collect information, we tell stories. Imagine trying to understand reality from a single book, a book written over thousands of years ago by people who believed they were inspired by the divine. A book that tells us where we came from, why humanity exists, and where we are ultimately going. Then imagine that same book telling us something equally remarkable, that when those events finally happen in the future, they will unfold in ways almost no one expects. Generation after generation has imagined what the end of the story will look like, and many of them have often believed that they were the ones on that threshold. All of them have been wrong. That leaves an enormous space between creation and fulfillment, a space measured not in years but in lifetimes. Stories have always lived in that space. They help us wrestle with questions that history hasn't answered yet. They give us somewhere to explore hope, fear, sacrifice, love, purpose, and identity while we wait. Perhaps that's why storytelling seems woven into human nature itself. We create because we were created by a creator. Every painting, every symphony, every invention, every city, every story. They are reflections of the same creative impulse placed inside humanity from the very beginning. Our creations often become mirrors. Sometimes we build them because we're searching for belonging, sometimes because we're trying to understand ourselves, and sometimes because we simply want to visit another world for a while. But even then, we want that world to make sense. It needs history, geography, cultures, rules, consequences. Even imaginary worlds have to feel true. That realization became the beginning of Noet. As I looked across some of my favorite fantasy stories, I noticed something they all had in common. There was always a human being standing at the center. Aragon, Atreyu, Luke Skywalker, Dorothy. Whether they arrived by magic, were born into the world, or traveled across space, the audience experienced the world through someone who was, in some way, human. So my first question wasn't how to build a planet. It was much simpler. How do I get a human being into another world? Some stories answer the question with space travel, as in Avatar or Guardians of the Galaxy. Others use magic like Narnia and Harry Potter. Some go through dreams and the imagination, as in Alice in Wonderland and Labyrinth. And some never explain it at all, such as Star Wars and Game of Thrones. The characters simply belong there. None of those approaches felt right for the story I wanted to tell. I wasn't trying to write a space adventure, and I didn't want magic to become the explanation for everything. And the wonderment of fairy tales didn't seem to fit either. People often say that books find you when you're ready for them. In my early 20s, I spent countless evenings wandering the shelves at bookstores. And that's during the time when several books seemed to land in my hand from the shelf. They were books about near-death experiences and reincarnation stories of children who remembered their past lives. Whether every account was literally true wasn't really the point. What fascinated me was something else. Almost every genuine near-death experience account shares a common thread. People often come back reporting that their priorities, fears, relationships, or sense of purpose have shifted dramatically. Whether one accepts those accounts as literal experiences, psychological phenomena, or something else, the recurring pattern is striking. The person who returns is not the same as the person who left. their identity has shifted. That raised a question I couldn't stop asking. What happens to a person when they glimpse something beyond the life they've always known? How much of who we are is shaped by the world around us? And if someone truly crossed that threshold, even for a moment, could they ever come back as the same person? That question became the foundation of Noet. I wasn't looking for a clever way to transport my main character into another world. I wanted to explore what kind of experience would transform someone so completely that they could never see either world the same way again. So that became my first writing challenge. If I were to write a near-death experience, what would it actually feel like? In the following episodes, we're going to begin with Chapter 1 and explore how I approached writing my human character's near-death experience, what I borrowed from real accounts, and what I changed for the story, and why every detail matters.